Welcome, welcome, welcome. How long has it been since we saw each other for a sit on the couch with Dr. Triphi? All right, y'all. I'm so excited about tonight. I'm looking forward to it. People who listen to me know that I love politics. I love politics. And a lot of my work on social media anyway is about psychology and politics and how that intertwines, how that plays in our minds, and how it shows itself in our day-to-day lives. Now tonight I have a special guest, and I'm saying that pretty girls talk politics too. Pretty girls talk politics too. Here's the thing: I think a lot of women avoid politics. Perhaps because of the psychological cost and the emotional cost, because politics often feels hostile, punishing. It's relentlessly combative, back and forth, especially towards women. I think there's higher scrutiny towards women. The attacks can get a little nasty, right? I think some women might be afraid for their safety as well. I've actually had several people tell me, "You sure you're okay? You sure you're not afraid? Watch what you're saying and watch how you're saying it." I've had people call me from Dominica to say they're going to label you as negative. So there's a constant pressure to be strong, but also soft as a woman, to be confident, but not to be threatening to other people somehow, to be bold, yeah, but also to be likable, to be a nice girl. So it's a double bind for women. And honestly, it can be exhausting. And I think a lot of women look at that and wisely so think to themselves, I've got enough on my plate already. Forget about it. I don't think that's, let me frame it in a positive way. I think that's actually a strength, and that's coming from a place of self respect. I don't think it's a sign of weakness. But what ends up happening, as evidenced by the state of today's world, is many of the most emotionally intelligent people opt out of politics. And what do we leave? We leave people who essentially are abusing us emotionally, politically, financially, in many other ways. The room gets very loud, egos trying to outdo each other, but it doesn't necessarily get wiser. So, I decided that pretty girls can talk politics too. And I've invited Marcelline Edwards. She'll tell you who she is and she'll share her diaspora story. I love sharing our Dominica diaspora stories. And uh, the girls are going to talk some politics tonight. Welcome, Marcelline.
Thank you, Dr. Triphi,
Yes, ma'am.
Margaret, to
You're
be
welcome.
more, you know, homey.
Yes. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you
Thank-
feeling? You ready for this conversation?
Oh yes, I have been ready.
You have been ready. Well, tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about yourself.
thank you.
I myself am ready. We're hitting the ground running. Okay. Tell us about yourself. Like, who are you? What do
Well,
you enjoy?
let me
Yes.
say good evening to you, Margaret. I really appreciate you bringing me on as your guest this evening. And I would like to say good evening to your listening audience as well, from near and far. All those who are following and have joined me via Facebook on this timely discussion, particularly in a time when our dearly beloved country and people are going through so much negative changes in the name of development.
Mm,
I say welcome and thank you for giving us your listening ear this evening. Thanks again, Margaret.
yes.
Well, I don't think I need to do a formal introduction of myself since my voice is well known to many. But I will say for the record, my name is Marcelline Edwards. I am a woman with a voice of my own. I am a mother, grandma, wife, a small business entrepreneur of 767 Creations ME, which is a sewing business where I design and sew our cultural wear. I'm also the founder of the Dominica Diaspora Arts and Crafts Expo, which is an annual exposition designed to market and promote our Dominican diaspora, small businesses, and on one economic, cultural, and social platform. And this expo was designed as well to foster an economic bridge between the small business entrepreneurs or the small business enterprise in Dominica
Mm.
and the diaspora. So my going to Dominica, for the expo in Dominica, remember that expo they did in the streets?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wanted to see what they were offering. And for the first time, I did. And I had meetings, and meetings were very successful.
Mm-hmm.
So we will see, a new addition to Expo 2026
In Dominica?
in the diaspora.
Oh, wow.
Our expo,
Wow.
you will see a
Yes.
new addition because
Got you.
that was meant to collaborate
Mm-hmm.
with the small business entrepreneurs in Dominica.
Got you. Got
And
you.
so
Got you.
far, the meetings were successful. I was being able to bring my magazine, to show them what we are doing here because the
Mm-hmm.
magazine was designed to promote our work
Mm-hmm.
as a small business entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we can always share ideas and, support each other since
Right.
a lot of our raw material used here for our
Mm-hmm.
expo is more or less sourced from Dominica. So
Got
we
you.
have already, started, bringing some,
Making connections
yes,
between the local
yes,
entrepreneurs
sure.
and Dominicans in the diaspora.
And bringing the revenue too, bringing
Wow.
revenue as
Of
well.
course. Of
Yes,
course.
we have
Yes.
to
Yes.
always remember that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So, having said that, my diaspora journey began in 2004.
Mm.
2004, I migrated to this great country filled with its own wars,
Right.
but
Right.
simultaneously filled with, lots of opportunities, as you know, Margaret. I left behind the securities and comfort of a 15-year career as a qualified life underwriter and top agent in the insurance industry
Wow.
and a self-sufficient country where I had some great years
Mm-hmm.
and great earnings
Mm-hmm.
up to earning $109,000 in one fiscal year.
Wow.
I also paid taxes to the Inland Revenue Department in the 30% bracket
Mm-hmm.
and maximum monthly remunerations to Social Security by way of employee deductions.
Mm-hmm.
So there were times when my quarterly bonus was as much as $8,000, being a top agent and producer for the
Mm-hmm.
company and qualifying for the highest awards in the company. But one would ask, why would you leave all
Why?
and migrate to another country?
Mm-hmm.
I respond with the truth. In the context that many women who understand that one's life is not only about their job,
Mm-hmm.
how much money they make, and the professional aspects of it, but it also includes the personal and private aspects,
Mm-hmm.
which is not the discussion at hand right now.
Right. Right. Right.
So maybe we can do that under the appropriate topic,
For sure.
Margaret,
For sure.
because you being a psychologist, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
So what I would say to all, the political she-devils and the bearded werewolves who attacked my good name to shut me up because I would not stop talking. He was, talking about the issues, and I used to be so nice, and the politics have changed me, and what have you. So, they wanted to be bad-minded and dirty. and
Mm.
um, and as a result, you know what they started with. They started with all sorts of scandals. I had stolen insurance money, you know. So you all need to stop that mudslinging in the name of politics,
So
because
what
this
I
is
hear you saying, so what I hear you saying is something that I've heard from many people of Dominican heritage who actually left the country after they felt hurt, hurt, politically traumatized uh, by a system that became more comfortable, uh, verbally attacking, sometimes financially attacking anybody who did not agree with the ruling government. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's what they did here. But, you know, that was not what it was back then. Because here it was, successful agent, comfortable, making my money and stuff like that. But in your own personal life, you're not, you're failing.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so for your sanity and, to save your children, then you have to, do what is best, because
Hmm.
I see so many women who face those situations in their own personal lives, and
Hmm.
and what do? They sit back and they lose their dignity. They probably even lose their lives and stuff like that. So,
Hmm.
I am glad I am here, and I'm glad I have my voice, and I can still continue my civic work as a
Hmm.
Dominican who coming here to this country did not stop me. It did not stop my progress, but I proceeded to do things that that I started in Dominica.
Hmm.
I joined the civic groups here and contributed my or volunteered on those groups as
Hmm.
from the secretary to the vice president to the PRO, and I was always instrumental in showcasing my Dominica, because I left Dominica, but Dominica did not
Didn't
leave me.
leave you.
Yeah,
Didn't leave you.
so I was always in tune, and I was always, going right back in terms of my mind and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So, but here in the diaspora, it's like, you do what you have to do when you come here.
Hmm.
And, and you don't forget your history, you don't forget your roots. You're here. One of the things that you don't travel with, or migrate with, is your job and your home.
Hmm.
So, it really, it really hit me like a ton of bricks. They say, but wait a minute now. It's like, wow. But, things progress, because when you're blessed, you're just blessed, and things will turn around, and, because you still have goals and you have ambition and you have the
Right.
drive, and you will do what you got to do.
Are you hinting? So I'm gonna pull out. I'm gonna do the psychologist piece right here, and are you hinting at the normal acculturation, fitting into the new system, the pain that comes with that as an immigrant into any new country where you're starting your life over. It sounds like you were just hinting at some of those struggles.
Yeah, so so I started, yes, starting my life over, and uh, having to work, and having, my kids later joined me, and then we're here, and and Marcelline is working,
Yes.
and Marcelline is doing what she has to do. But
Yes.
all of it, with the hardships and the everything, all of it paid out. And,
Right.
I continued working with my Dominican people, spending time, going to the different activities they had. I joined the Emerald Group,
Hmm.
and I started, doing with them fundraisers in my backyard, and I just never stopped.
So you found ways to stay connected to
Yes, I
Dominic.
found ways to stay
Gotcha.
connected, and I found a Dominican church, because at the end
Mm.
of the day,
Oh,
some
really?
people, yes, there's some people who run away when they migrate into, they run away from the Dominican people. But I love my Dominican people, because the
Mhm.
Dominican people have always been my raw material. And in
Mm.
so doing, when the challenges of the pandemic came,
Mhm.
and that lockdown was, you just feel
So
like,
painful.
wait a minute, it's like, wow,
Mhm.
there's no way to turn, no way to, So as soon as there was some glimpse that, that the place was opening up and what have you. Because Margaret, that a lot of businesses were born out of the expo.
Out of right,
Had
right.
so much time on their hands, and people started dipping into their creative skills and
Mm,
their ambitions, and it produced so much. Small
mm,
business entrepreneurs were born, and I started thinking, what can I do in order for us to meet again? Because I was used to meeting at those activities, and I
mm.
missed my Dominican people
The
so much.
socialization, the
Yes.
social
So
connection.
I thought of the expo, and I said, well, let me see if I could, But then when I announced it the first year, I thought people were peeling out from nowhere, from the woodworks, and I said, oh, I didn't know that there were so many people who could do so many things, and that is
Mhm.
how the expo
What are
grew.
some examples of what people have produced and showcased at the expo?
All sorts of things, from jewelry to soaps and skin butters, from deodorants to air fresheners air to confectionery, our music, our
Mhm.
food,
Books.
everything, is part of the expo. Their
Mm,
small businesses were born. People launched their businesses for the first time.
mhm.
That gave people a springboard to launch their businesses, go deeper into their creativity,
Right.
because we are ambitious people. They
For
were
sure.
LLCs were formed, and
Mhm.
people were just doing what they had to do, because we realized that we did not have a space for us to promote our products, because
Mhm.
the Jamaicans come together, sent the Chinese, the Trinis, they are all immigrants, and
Mhm.
you can go to those places and get, to the Trini store, to the Jamaican,
Right, right,
to the
right.
Chinese store, but where can you go to the Dominican store to get anything?
Mhm, mhm.
So I created this platform to brand our products, and
Very nice.
from that, I it's you know there is not only the crafters who succeeded in showing the art.
Mhm.
I developed my sewing business was born from the expo.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I could sew, and for the first year, I did not really do a table, but I remember Shirley. She asked me to sew a madras skirt for her and make a headpiece, which I did. So after
Mhm.
the expo, she's watching me across my table in my kitchen, and she says, "So, Marcelline, you mean you can sew so well, and you couldn't do a table?" so, so I felt a little bad. And then I said, well, okay, I will do that. So the following year, the second year of the expo, then it did not happen because I lost my mom.
Oh,
And that was right around the time I would be thinking about the expo. Now, you losing your mom is a lot
yeah.
of grief, and is a lot of can't get it together. So that did not happen. So the
Mm,
third year, I did the expo, the second expo, and that is the time that
mhm.
everybody wanted something cultural, something to attend the expo. So I went deeper into my sewing skills. But mark you, I
Mhm.
wanted to produce something for my table that I did not really want to do what everybody just sewing and
You wanted
creating.
something unique and
I wanted
special.
something unique, so I
Mhm.
I came with some cummerbunds, some flashy cummerbunds for
Mhm.
women, with all the
Oh,
sequins and the rhinestone, from the
mhm.
from from the mattress that you could
Right.
you know put around the dress, a white flowing dress, and I started doing the headpieces, and
Mhm.
and but people want what they want, and I
Right.
realized that I could not really deliver what I was set out to do, because they were asking for what they wanted. So I just said, well, okay, I'm just going to do a concentrate on them and what have you. But then
Mhm.
I had made, decent money even before the day of the expo.
Right.
So
Wow.
when I saw that there was a market for that, I decided to enroll myself in a professional sewing class.
Wow.
So I did that. I did, some professional courses and got myself up to par. Some
Very
of the
nice.
things I did not know, when you go to the classes, you get to learn certain things, and when you come from there, you can never do the same things that you used to do, but so this is
You
how I
elevate. So your
developed.
skills elevated. Your skills
Yes,
elevated.
so
So where in Dominica are you from originally?
I am from the Concord community, and
Mm,
it's a Concord Marigot.
mm-hmm,
It's just 5 minutes, away from Marigot, but we are in the Marigot constituency.
okay.
And this is a unique little community with two constituencies. The only community in Dominica with two parliamentarians, the
Oh,
Kalinago
really?
on one
Okay.
side of the river and we
Mm-hmm,
on the other side of the river. But we
mm-hmm,
have always lived in harmony
mm-hmm,
as one community, sharing the
mm-hmm,
same school, going to the same church, and the same, grocery shops. And
mm-hmm,
I remember as a little girl growing up, when young girls growing up, my mom, who was from Castle Bruce, but her father was from Salibert.
mm-hmm.
So
So the father was Kalinago.
her father was Kalinago,
Mm-hmm,
and her mother came from Petit Soufriere, Saint-Sauveur up there.
mm-hmm,
So we came from, but the only thing was, they did not raise up in the Kalinago territory.
mm-hmm,
They were raised in Castle Bruce because my grandfather left the Kalinago territory when he was a young man
mm-hmm,
in search of his own opportunities.
mm-hmm,
And he bought lands in Castle Bruce, and
mm-hmm.
he had, his farmlands there, just vis-a-vis the Kalinago territory, just bounding, just right,
Mm-hmm. On the
yeah,
border,
on
right?
the border.
Mm-hmm,
And he had his home in a place called Wakama. I remember as a little girl, we used to go there
mm-hmm.
and spend holidays, with our mom, and so they were from Castle Bruce, not really, you know. So that's
That's
real
your rooting.
integration
That's your
in
rooting.
in the in the Cardinal Road territory. We did not really have that, but
Yeah.
we understood that our grandfather came from there,
Yes.
and
As you mentioned Concord, I'm gonna, because for the sake of time, as you mentioned Concord, I've
mhm,
been, I'm on social media all of the time, and I am sure a lot of you have seen this video by a young man from the Kalinago territory. His name is Gary Auguste. I actually have a video from him. I want you to look at the video and tell me what your first reaction was to what many Dominicans are learning as we speak about politics, right? What many Dominicans are learning about excavation happening in the Desbranches area, and how that is impacting the Concord River, the environment in that area. Uh, I just y'all hold on for a second. I'm gonna let you all listen to him.
You asked what's happening in Daywash today. Listen carefully. This isn't thunder. This is the sound of a river being broken down again. This is Daywash 2025. Day. In that very same valley, something new is happening. Let's get our bearings because location is the story. All right, here's Dominica. Zoom in. This is Desbranches right here, the quarry site. See these two branches? They form the Pega River. Up here is the Northern Forest Reserve, Central Forest Reserve, and just below are the communities Stonefield, Concord, Pego, and Kalinago territory. Now that we understand, let's talk about it. Almost 30 years later, the same area is being mined again. Different material, same story. The reason to build the new international airport, they call it development, but the locals of Concord call it something else. No one told them that this was coming. They just reach. No hearing, no documents, no meetings, no environmental social impact assessment for the public to see. As far as we know, the mining excavation started in August, and right now it's just a testing phase. The real project starts in January 2026. What awaits us is years of blasting, digging, and dumping. Right above a river where generations have depended on. The Concord Pego River once ran clear. People bathed, people cooked there. People's livelihoods and businesses depended on that river being clear and pristine. We're the nature island, of course. Now it's milky and thick with fine sediment. Rocks slippery from bacterial growth. The aquatic life is in danger, and some residents say that the water irritates their skin. In Lagley, people risk crossing a slippery water bridge every day. Trucks wash there, blocking the paths. The quarry site borders two forest reserves, primarily the Northern Forest Reserve, and sits where two rivers meet the Pego River. The same forest shelters the parrots, agoutis, the manikou, now stripped bare. Some of these trees survived Maria, but not the excavators. We were never told, we just saw the machine start. The Kalinago chief called for an immediate stop. Of course, half of Concord is her authority, but the work continues. If it's just for stones, why here? Why inside a watershed when coastal quarries exist? Maybe it's just rocks, maybe. But this is the same valley once marked for copper and gold. So some wonder if the story is the same, just rewritten. Because this isn't only about a river and about the forest reserves. This is about trust. A nature island government digging through nature itself. A project in the shadows, a community living with the runoff. 30 years ago, Dominica said no to mining here.
Wow.
Now the same soil bleeds again for concrete or for copper. Maybe the question isn't what we are building, but what we are willing to destroy to get there. Because when progress looks like this and the water turns against you, it's hard to tell where the project ends and when the damage begins. Because of context, how big is this quarry? So it's about, let's compare it to something that we know. And we're going down. So this is the capital of Roseau. So keep in mind, this is Roseau of 1991, but it's still Roseau. So we can see it being big as Roseau plus gardens. It's going to be a big freaking quarry.
Wow.
And it's right in the heart of Dominica, right here in Deboche. Thank you guys for listening.
Whoa.
You asked.
Whoa. Whoa. You know, the first time I saw that video, you know, I just got like my stomach hurt. You know, I feel tears right now in the back of my eyes. And I wasn't ready to talk about it. I wasn't ready to talk about it.
Margaret,
Yeah.
my first reaction to that video made by my Kalinago neighbor, this guy, Gary Auguste, he lives across the river in my Concord community. He was a young boy going to the Concord school when I left Dominica.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw the video, I did not know. I did not hear anybody talk of such.
I had never heard.
So my first instinct was to call my sister to ask her, what is going on in Deboche?
Mm-hmm.
And how comes no one told me about that? And this is this emboweling of the mountains in Deboche, the mountain in Deboche, destroying the river, the wildlife, the environment, and everything. You know, that was met with, for me, it was met with trepidation. My first instincts was to forward the video. I forward that video to some people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one particular person I forwarded the video to, and they were lashing out at me for forwarding the video to them.
Mm.
They literally said they don't care. And but this has left me so angry that every
Why?
time I think about it, I feel that anger, boiling up inside of me like a volcano.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep asking, what the hell is wrong with this idiot? What's going on in his mind? Because it is so heartbreaking to see what has become of the Concord River, a river that was once vibrant and essential. It was an essential part of the community's way of life.
Mm-hmm.
That was part of the natural amenities, the 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 natural landscape of our community. Because I don't think there are many communities with a big, healthy river flowing in the heart of the communities.
Mm-hmm.
This is the river that separates the Marigot constituency from the Kalinago constituency.
Mm-hmm.
So that river has sentimental values,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
People grew up in the
that
river,
is where we grew up.
washing,
That is where we bathe.
catching crayfish.
That is where our parents. My father, for example, he came to Concord when he was 18 years old, barely 18 years. He was one of the first men of the Gordon clan who came to Concord, along
Mm-hmm.
with his brothers. His brothers came later, like Uncle Paul, Uncle Mead, you know, and his cousins, Mr. Fensel, Mr. Willie Gordon. Concord was, it was the Gordon clan lived in Concord. And then you had Mr. Pinard Lavelle and, a lot of the other persons who came in they were the early pioneers who they were all very instrumental in building that Concord community, because
Mm-hmm.
Concord had no lights, Concord had no water, no school, nothing, nothing. So they built that community from
From
early.
scratch, essentially.
Yes. And this is, the Concord is a place, that experiences bad hurricanes, terrible hurricanes, the ravages
Mm-hmm.
of hurricanes. Notwithstanding the fact that we are protected within, the mountains, it's a place where we have the mountains, so we feel some form of security with the mountains. But now this man is, literally mining the mountains. And what is, playing in my head is the last words of my father, what my father said to me while he lay in his dying bed. I was right here in this house, in my daughter's house in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and I called to see how he was doing. And he said his words to me was, I want you to keep fighting. First of all, he said, I want this documented. What I'm going to say to you, I want it documented. And then he said, I want you to keep fighting. Keep up the good work. Keep fighting.
What did he want you to fight for?
Because I have always been outspoken, always talking up on the different issues, which he had loved, to listen whenever, I would call him. And I miss him so much, because in times like these, he was a voice of reason. He was the one who encouraged you. He was the one who would push you, and I know this man and most of these early men are turning in their graves, because they would never have stood. They would not stand for that. They would not stand for the destruction of that Concord River. And then when I see that is happening, and yet people are so quiet, I'm just wondering what is wrong with our people. First of all, it was the it was the Wesley community. A lot of people felt it was a Wesley business. And a lot of people felt that they could not say anything because they were not being affected by what was going on in the Wesley community. But when you close your eyes and you close your mouth to evil, that same evil is going to reach your doorstep at one point. In the times when this government was, literally bulldozing people's crops. People were just about waiting to reap the harvest from their hard work, and this government was bulldozing away the bananas, the plantains, the food. And people looked at that, and I looked at that and I said, if this government can do something like that, bulldoze the people's plantation with their food, and the food that is just ready to the food that's just ready to yield.
To
If you
harvest.
do that to a community, a people, there's nothing that you will not do. So when I saw the mountains being in that video, this man has lost his way. And
Well, but a lot of people are saying, not a lot, really, it's not a lot. Some people are saying that's the price you pay for progress or development. What do you say to that?
well, I am not willing, or we should not, as a nation, be willing to sacrifice our entire country for an airport. We welcome the development of an airport. We want the airport. But do we want to turn Dominica into a desert? Do we want to destroy our country for an airport? And how good it is when you destroy the environment, when you dry up our rivers, when you destroy the communities one by one, when most of the people especially in the construction sites in Wesley, they are not going to be around to see that airport completed, because with the dust and the noise and the everything that is going on that is affecting these people, I have never seen a government with such disregard for its citizens, disregard for their health, disregard for their well-being, totally disregarding the citizens. In that Concord situation, something like that is going to affect the Concord community, affect the citizens. You did not see it fit to even have a discussion with them. You just brought in
That's something he says. That's something Gary says.
your
Yes.
equipments. And now that there's public outcry, then you pause working for a short time. No, the people should have a permanent pause on this that is going on. The equipment should not work. They should not work. They should be paused permanently, because I don't
Something
know.
that Gary said in the video is that there was no environmental assessment study done to the knowledge of the community. So it's almost as if people started, or if there was an environmental study done, the community was never informed, consulted. They don't even know the
Exactly.
impact the soil might have on them,
Exactly.
on their health.
And that is why the equipment should not work. They should not work. They should be looking at the equipments and not being able to move them. They should not work, because you can't just totally disrespect people in that sort of way. And so when you become when you seek office and you impose yourself on the citizens, and you stay there for a few, like 20 years, you become their boss. You own the country. So there's no need to have any discussions with the people. There's no need to regard them in any way. You just treat them like they do not exist. How I don't understand that, because you are not the people's boss. The people are paying you to do a job.
People are the boss of the government. The
They
people
are
are
your
the boss.
boss.
Yeah.
It's like hiring someone to manage your company, and once that person gets comfortable, all the profits of the company, it's theirs. The company itself, it's like they literally throw you out and take over your company.
Right, right.
A lot of the people who support that, if they had a business, some of them do have businesses, would they continue to hire a manager if they had a manager doing that in the business place? Would you continue with that same manager? Or
I
would
wouldn't.
you have held him
I wouldn't.
accountable and probably have the police arrest him?
As you say that, I remember Apple. At a certain point, they released Steve Jobs, the board of directors. They basically fired him because they didn't like what he was doing.
Exactly. And that is when you have an NGO, when you have a company, you have board of directors. The board of directors are responsible for policing the affairs of the company.
Mm-hmm.
They are directly responsible. So anything that goes wrong in the company, the board of directors are responsible if they allow it to happen.
Well,
And
what do you think should happen? What do you think the community should do? What do you think the boss of the moment, right? The people running the country's affairs, what do you think they should do when it comes to next steps as it relates to day wash?
the community should stand up. The communities should stand up. Because for Christ's sake, I have heard and I have seen over and over that the Dominic, and not just the communities that, should stand up, Dominica on a whole should stand up. Because you cannot allow community to come by community to stand up. It is
Yeah.
not going to happen. Dominica is being affected because when you start demarcating or destroying a country or destroying even a building, you start with one brick. That is how destruction comes. One brick, a brick, a brick a day, a brick a day, a brick a day. Or
Mm.
not even intentional. If you
Mm.
have a property and the property starts falling apart, if you don't pay any attention to it, it's eventually going to collapse.
Yeah, even if you didn't mean for it to collapse.
Even if it was not intentional.
Mhm.
So this man feels you can go ahead and just do that. No, Dominica needs to stand up and take the country back. I have seen where a lot of the anger is being leashed out on the same brothers in the fight. And
What
I
do you
and,
mean? What
and
do
I
you
think
mean?
I see it everywhere that that there's so much violence everywhere. Young men, young men, violence among young men, among our people, among our brothers, the same brothers who are in the fight, the same brothers who are oppressed, the same, and none of them are taking that same level of anger and that same fight to their oppressors.
So you're saying that a lot of the rage, that's something we ought to talk about.
It should be
That's
it should
being
be directed to
that's
the
been
oppressors.
exploding in the community, one to one, like young man to young man.
Yes,
Really, it's being misdirected.
it is misdirected.
Mhm.
It is misdirected because when you look at a system that is stacked up against the youth, a government in office for 20 plus years, we have no income generating projects, no income generating businesses in Dominica. There are
But
no
the
food,
people are getting
there
houses.
are no jobs.
But what do
I,
you mean? The people are getting houses.
I am
Are we
talking about
buying those?
income generating projects.
You mean
Okay, it's
houses
just like
don't
it's just
generate
like
income?
you have your house, you have your house, you have your home. Does it bring an income to you?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. A house does not bring income to you. A house provides the comforts the comfort and security for you, in the sense it provides shelter, it
Mhm.
provides a place where you can sleep up, a place for you to live.
Mhm.
But if you don't get up on your butt and go to work, then you will starve in that house. So providing homes when the people, in the first place, if this man had given Dominicans the opportunity and created jobs in the country by creating jobs in the country for them, he would not have to build their homes. Because in the days when I was in Dominica, that building of homes for people were not in existence. We had a welfare department in Dominica, but it wasn't a red clinic. It wasn't eaten from the hands of politicians. And I'm not saying that a welfare department is not absolutely necessary, because there are always going to be people less fortunate in our societies
who need support, who need extra support,
who need that support. But I have never seen a system brought people dependent just to manipulate them. You brought them dependent to the point that you have to feed them, you have to clothe them, you have to give from diapers to pins to coffins. Even if they owe all the funeral homes in Dominica for the coffins, for the burial services that they take to bury the same people that they themselves are responsible for the genocide. They themselves are responsible for the deaths.
How do you say that? Why do you say that?
I say that because this is a government that has not fixed the healthcare system. People die in the hospital for very simple reasons. And every time you look at the number of young people dying in the hospital, there's nothing in the hospital. There's no bandages. There's no painkillers. You can't get a diagnostic test done. You can't. This hospital cannot handle emergencies. The hospital the hospital in Dominica is functioning like a health center. And in a lot of places, the health centers are much more equipped and much more functional.
Wow. Well, Marvelyn has a comment here. She says, I don't think anyone in Dominica wants to destroy any river or forest. There is a quarry in the area closer to the airport site. Why was an injunction placed on that quarry to block or delay this airport from building? And she says, why don't you tell your friend, one sec, why don't you tell your friend to lift the injunction from the existing quarry? What is your answer?
There was a quarry in the closer to the airport.
That's what she's saying.
I think this person is biased to what is going on in Dominica, because this is a case where you claim you have a quarry, but you have to be operating that quarry from Sunday to Sunday in a place where there are residential properties. If that quarry was where Margaret lived, she would live there. She would love it. She would be asking that question. Margaret, would you be asking that question? I don't think you would be asking that question. And Collyho and those places, that they're existing.
You mean like if she depended on the river? You're saying that if she depended on the river in Concord, you wonder if she would be asking that question. And you wonder if she lived in Londonderry.
She was living where the quarry she claims.
Like in Londonderry. Is that the one in Londonderry?
That to lift the injunction. It's not in Londonderry. She's talking about the situation with Mr. James where he took that mining to the court. And if the court did not find that it was annoyance, then the injunction would not have been on it. And they did not place a permanent injunction. They gave them the hours as to when they can operate and when they cannot operate. So they're claiming that there's a permanent injunction that no work can be done there on the quarry. That is a big fat lie. But notwithstanding that, you remember when Hurricane Maria, you remember what happened to the Layu River? There was stones and stones and stones galore. It's like, an entire mountain was, came down. What did the government do with all those stones? They gave it to a French company to take it away by barges. No one knows what deal they had with that French company. Now you want to excavate every mountain in Dominica, cut down the mountains, the safety of the country, damage our watersheds because you're building an international airport.
So Kenrick is asking Marvelyn, if they really don't want to destroy the rivers, why are they not taking wise instructions from Dominicans who know, right? Who have fundamental knowledge of our rivers and the rainforest, who can guide them better? If there are no environmental assessments being done, or at least that the public is aware of, is that a logical question? It sounds like a logical question to ask.
But did you listen to
Gary?
Mr. Matte
Arthie, Martin?
and all the other professionals? Maybe that person who wrote in the comment, they need to listen. They need to start listening to sensible radio stations where they get the proper information, so they will not be asking that dumb question.
Was something somebody else is asking, was that area approved for a quarry to be built there by the planning division?
It was never. Not even the airport. Not even the airport they claim to build has planning approval. Will you ever hear that?
That's incredible.
It's just like the buildings. Look today, Margaret. We watched a video where in one of the places, the communities where they built the housing. I think it's in Petit Savan.
Mm-hmm.
There's now feces are just bubbling up from the apartments on the streets. Mm-hmm. These people from the sewage, raw sewage. The people cannot eat. They cannot sleep. There's mosquitoes. There's stench. You want to tell me planning approved that? This is happening just like all the other buildings that they erected without planning approval. And did you not hear Annie Edwards when she said that the EIA studies were not done? They did not present anything like that. So where is the information? Aren't we, the public, entitled to that data to ensure that they're going according to the planning laws? And I know they like to make the comparison with, whenever it suits them, with things that happen in America. And they talk about American things. Margaret, you live in America just like I do. Do you think that madness would be going on in America?
It would never.
Do you think that mining of the mountain, the mining of Dewash would be going on in America?
We know it would never.
Do you think that these people, these little eyes people, would be able to ruin or to destroy all our rivers like that, Margaret?
And we are after all the nature island of the Caribbean. We're supposed to be upholding, keeping our nature spots, keeping our environment healthy, but that's causing a lot of pain on the community. The approach to progress, I think that most Dominicans are for progress, but I think most Dominicans are also against poor planning and the lack of consideration for citizens as we make progress. And it feels like that's what Gary is saying in the video. It feels like that's what he's saying in the video when he says nobody even came to us to talk to us about it.
Of course, you cannot disrespect the people like that. It is impossible. When you ever hear such a project would be taking place to inconvenience the people, inconvenience the way of life for the people. I was in Dominica in October. I stayed 20 days in Dominica. And then, whenever you commute, along the road, Dewash Road, These people don't care. They have the road is filled with mud. The proper
Signage.
signage.
Mhm.
The proper signage is not in place, and these people don't care. And that, even that the signs are in Chinese, and I'm wondering where the hell is our public works? Not even in English. The signage is the limited signage. They're not even in English. So you see this little nonsense, weird nonsense. You don't even know what it is because you're not used to seeing things like that. So I'm kind of wondering, have the Chinese just taken over Dominica? I don't get it. And we call ourselves a God-fearing country, a Christian country, a country of Christian values. Then that is what we talk about. But if you talk about, and yes, I want to believe that we are a country of Christian values. But if we have Christian values, we also have to have civic values. This is our civic duty to hold our leaders accountable and to put our country first, which I continue to do unapologetically.
Well, I'm happy that you do, because at least I will have company. Guys, we intend to do something unique with this. We actually intend to continue with the Pretty Girls Talk Politics sessions. And we don't want to go too long tonight. There is so much more we want to talk about. But this clearly it's causing a lot of pain. And if something is causing a lot of pain, if I care about you, my job, I think, is to sit, listen to you, have you listen to me, and have us come up with some plan to make it work for everybody to the best that we can, right? So I see some comments on here like, if there's a racial attitude towards the Chinese, I don't think that's what I heard you say. I heard you express some frustration that the signage was in Chinese in an English-speaking country. It does seem it doesn't make sense. On its face, it doesn't make sense to have the signage in Chinese if it's being done in Concord. That doesn't seem like it makes sense. But
did they ask if I have a ratio? I don't care what they interpret it as. I'm not making any apologies. They can interpret it how they want. But what I am saying is that based on our Christian values and principles, and given the fact that Dominica is a country of Christian values that resonate in the coat of arms. You know what our coat of arms said, Margaret? You know what it says?
Après bon Dieu, c'est la terre.
Après bon Dieu, c'est la terre.
After God, the earth.
Is the earth.
So and after our level of respect for God, yes, we promised and we pledged as a nation to honor the earth. And it feels personal to many people when it's being dug out like that without conversation with the people, without proper planning, without documentation, without exploring how it might impact the people. It's not that, what I'm hearing is not that people are saying no to development. They're saying develop respectfully and properly. Is that what you're hearing, Marcelline?
Yes, of course. Yeah. And then we continue with even the pledge, our pledge before God and all mankind.
I pledge the love and loyalty of my heart.
Mankind. We pledge our love and loyalty. So what are we pledging it to? What are we pledging it to? To what is going on there? The demarcation, the disemboweling of our country? That is what we are pledging it to? Or is it, or are these words mere recitals?
What do you wish? What do you hope to see instead? What do you hope to see
You know
instead?
what I want to do? I want to urge our Dominicans, every Dominican, to activate our consciences. Let us activate our consciences so that they can resonate with our spiritual. They can, so when we resonate our consciences, it will resonate with our spiritual obligation. Our spiritual obligation, where it leads us to honor Proverbs 31, verse 8 to 9, that says, speak up, speak up. You will advocate more. You will speak up for justice. You will speak up for what is right. You will be patriotic. You will love your brother. You will not put a politician and politicians above God. You will not give them your loyalty, because it's only God that needs your loyalty. We respect our politicians when they're doing well, when they do well, when they mean well, but not when they are hurting us, not when not when they're destroying our country, not when they're making our people poorer, not when they're bringing our citizens to second-class citizens, not when they have stacked up a system against the young people, not when our young people are falling apart and they see no way out. And it's not just the government alone, Margaret. It's not the government alone. Even the opposition has a moral obligation too, because the opposition is representing the people who did not
Absolutely.
vote for the people in the House.
Absolutely.
They're representing that aspect of the people. So it's
Absolutely.
time we put country first. Instead of our selfish agendas, we have to wake up. We cannot drown in sabbatical. We need to stop drowning in hate. We need to start coming together as a people, putting our voices together, letting this government understand that we, the people, have the power. And until we start speaking up and start pushing back, these people aren't going to stop, because they're going to feel that they're in charge. Look at when we start speaking up about what is going on in Diaspora. At least they said they pause it for the weekend. But what can you establish within the weekend? If
So
you have
Marvelyn says, um, she says, didn't you hear? Well, my assumption is, Marvelyn, maybe she didn't hear, but maybe she did hear, that the Prime Minister said he and the representatives are going to the area to speak and listen to the people on the matter. One thing I think we do too much is we read each other's minds, like we tell each other what we think the other one is doing. So I'm not going to read the second part because I don't agree with it. As in, I think that's what you're doing, and I think ask the other person what they're doing versus me tell them what I think they're doing, because very often we are not correct. So that part, though, it appears that the Prime Minister and his representatives are going to the area to speak and listen to the people. What do you think about that?
I personally don't want to respond to that comment, that commentator, because you know what? When if to be placed in a position of disrespect is one thing. Whatever her Lord says at this point in time, it is not appealing to anybody in the Concord community, because we have already been disrespected. And
what I'm hearing you say is, I actually was thinking that it's like, if you've been doing a job for 20 years, you ought to know the procedure. You ought to know, well, before we do any project, I mean, if we have to build a step on our houses in Dominica, you got to submit something to planning, don't you? And if it's not 6 feet or whatever, how many feet from the road, they tell you break it down and start over, right? That's just protocol. That's what is done. So why is it not being done with such big projects that's costing so much taxpayer money, and it's being done after the fact? As you say, I would feel disrespected if I lived in the community and had lost access to my river. And the river is not just there for, the river is there for so many things.
But Margaret, the people, this man appeals, this man this man appeals to when he does things like that. It tells the caliber. It tells the
What do you
caliber.
mean? A caliber of what?
The caliber. Because if you can accept that, that at this point in time, that you feel it's okay, to accept that, then you're
Yeah.
just as disrespectful.
So the standards are too low.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Everybody does not operate under that low bar.
Mhm.
And this is our country. This is
Mhm.
our country. And if you are developing, who are you developing for? It is
Mhm.
for the people. We
Mhm.
all have a stake in this country, a
Mhm.
legitimate stake in this country.
Mhm.
We all have a legitimate stake in this country. And we all because we were all born in Dominica. All of
Mhm.
us naval all of us
It
naval.
belongs to all of us. So
It
the
belongs
idea that some have a voice and
it
some
belongs to
don't
all
have
of
a
us.
voice, it's not helping the whole. And we're
Yeah,
missing
it
out
belongs to
on.
all of us.
Mhm.
And that is why we have to stand up for what is right. We cannot
Mhm.
always be politically blind, you know. And even after this man will never always be in office. He will never always be in office
Mhm.
because look at what's his
St.
name,
Vincent.
Ralph Gonzalez. He was there, the sixth term general. He was there for how long? And he's not there anymore. So you're
Mhm.
never always going to be there. But at the end of the day, our country remains.
Yes. And for all of
And, this,
us,
and for all of us, this is
including the
our
one who's leading
inheritance.
right now, the country remains for all of us.
This
From the
is our
one who is leading
inheritance.
the country right now to the poorest person in the country
Yeah, this
who
is
in
our
some of our
inheritance.
circles does not seem to have a voice, like the
It's
villagers of Concord. It's like they're not being listened to. Well, you, there's been a pause. It is painful. Right
it
now, it is
is.
painful. Yeah, that we would be continuing to do these big projects, and we're not speaking to the communities. We're going ahead with big, so much activity, and people are being hurt by progress. But many of us are saying to them, be quiet for the sake of progress. Well, how can I be quiet for the sake of progress if my river is now like mud? Something that was clear as glass is now full of bacteria.
But
It's black.
but remember, this is the same river that you could not hunt. You could not go there and catch a bait out of out,
Wow.
out of hunting season.
Or
This is
else
the
they would have
same river.
charged you. They
You
would
could
have
not get a,
charged.
you could not go and catch a crab by the river there. You remember Mr. Linton and the crabback story? So when people
Mhm.
come on this live being hypocritical, they're just being wicked. I
Well, we
cannot
cannot tell
support
them they're
evil.
being wicked. We just know that their
I
thoughts are
cannot
different.
support evil. If you support evil, you see evil and you support it, then I cannot, I don't know what else to call you.
That's hard for you.
But we have to, I cannot be blinded by party politics
Mhm.
because I think we are old enough. I am old enough that I no longer support any party
None.
wholesale. I done with that. I'm not
Yeah.
supporting any party wholesale. I look
Yeah.
at the individuals within a party, within a thing, and they have to deserve my support.
I
If it is
agree. You
undeserving, I'm
know,
not supporting you. I don't care under what party you come under. I am not supporting you.
you
And
you're bringing something up here that I want us to talk about, but I don't want us to talk about everything tonight. But you're leading me into something that happened with the United Workers Party this past week that I think hurt a lot of Dominicans. And I'm always going to bat for Dominicans. Me. So you talk about like your cause, my pain, where I feel pain is where I feel my people are being hurt. It hurts me physically. I feel it physically. And yes, I don't know that we have enough time to talk about it tonight. Do you want to say a little bit about it though before we start wrapping things up? Because we want them to come back to listen to Pretty Girls Talk Politics. We want to talk about that, We want to talk about what we saw as a red, only Labour Party leaders of the Caribbean attended a high function, a state function. And I think a lot of Caribbean people are confused. It feels like the whole Caribbean is in disarray. We have a big group we call CARICOM, but it seems like that's fractured now into the Labour parties of the Caribbean. And they've almost X'd out the other half of the Caribbean. It's feeling very painful for us in the Caribbean right now, a lot of people. And I'm asking for people to please listen to your brothers and sisters when they're telling you they're being hurt or they're in pain, as opposed to telling them, be quiet, this is why you should not feel as if you're in pain. That part is just so hard for me.
Well, we live in an era where, where politicians and political parties feel their supporters, and as a result, they take their supporters for granted. And you think these the old boys club of corrupt and greedy political leaders just came about by accident? No, it came about because of the people like some of the people on the live, and a lot of the people who
like we take positions and we hold the
Yes,
position.
yes.
We support people regardless. Yeah.
And we're not being practical. We're not being practical. We do not want to hold certain people responsible. And that is why we winded up like that. Because when you look at what happened in St. Vincent, where this man, he lost the elections, people have had enough. So you find he had a colossal, and
bloodbath. It was a bloodbath. That
yes,
defeat
it was
hurt.
over.
Yeah.
And
The people of St. Vincent said that's enough.
And I don't even understand why he just did, he didn't do like what Alan Chasney did, just resign and let the party rebirth. And we saw the situation in St. Lucia where the UWP, suffered a major beating. And we should be able to draw from those two elections in those two different countries and apply it in a more given situation. Look, we extract the negativity. What is it that, let us look at it. Let us put it on the table. Does it look like our own? Can we own up? Can we share some of that type
what can we take from it for
and
our
if we
good?
can share some of that negativity, how do we turn it around and make it positive? How
Right.
do we walk back? How do we, but instead of doing that, we see a lot of people doubling down. And, what are we supposed to do? We when you see things like that, we just get to realize that, they are part of the problem. They're
At
part of
least
the
they will
problem.
not help us if we're in distress. What I
No.
hear, what I feel, and what I sense when that is the attitude, I say to myself, I better learn how to take care of myself because my neighbor
Yes.
is not going to take care of me.
Exactly. And there's a lot of hopelessness in Dominica, with the young people. And the young people are looking for a way out, but they don't see that way out. I had the opportunity to talk to a few young people, to some young people in Dominica. And it's like, they're beaten down, they are weary, they are tired. But you know what they're asking? But where do we go? Who do we turn to? Because we are not seeing. And yet, in spite of the fact that the young people are saying they're not seeing, they're not doing anything to let them see. They're not doing anything to let them see. They rather put their hands on the paper and still put it in their eyes. They cannot see. The young people say they cannot see. So lead for Christ's sake. Lead the people for Christ's sake. Because we cannot continue along those paths. We cannot continue along those paths. Something has to be done to break that cycle of a government that has not been working. Stop it. Come.
I get it. I get it. My
Say
hi.
hello,
Hi.
Snickers. Look,
Hi.
are you
Yes.
saying? Oh, okay.
Oh, I
Her
see
name
you.
is her name is Snickers.
Oh, her name. Hi,
Yes,
Snickers. Yes.
and
Hi,
she likes
Snickers.
speaking up. Yeah, she likes speaking up for herself. You see how
I
loud
think
she is?
Amma, and let's start wrapping up on that note. Amma, that is it, Amma. We have to move to the middle. We have to move to the middle. We have to move to the middle, to a more moderate view, which is not the view that I saw in St. Lucia this week was basically if you're not wearing a red t-shirt, you have
Yeah.
been X'd out of the Caribbean pie. If you're not wearing a red t-shirt, even as a leader, because the St. Vincent leader was not, I don't know if he was not invited, he definitely wasn't there. So even if you're a leader of a country, you will be X'd out of that fraternity or
Hmm.
that some people are calling it a gang, you know?
Hmm.
I mean,
But
it's we're in a tough place. We used to be
yes,
always one family. We would meet each other from other islands in the Caribbean, and you'd say, "Oh, you're from so and so. Oh, you're from so and so. All always one family, right?" But our leaders have made it very clear to us that, and even to their fellow leaders, that if you don't belong to this group right here,
mhm,
then we can. We this is our family. And I don't think they realize how painful that is for the rest of us
it is.
who were trained to think that all of us were one family. They have created a sub family.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you see how, and having said that, you see how easy it was to make that discussion, to send in the RSS to tear gas Dominicans and put them in their place.
And to always, for the RSS to
Yes,
always be approved. It was always approved when a
but
request
for the
was made.
RSS to
There
be
was
always
never
approved.
There was never any time,
Yeah.
apparently, that they were saying no. So anytime anybody within that, that's what it feels like.
And then they talk about a zone of, the Caribbean as a zone of peace. That is just hypocrisy. The Caribbean
Half
is
of
not
the
a zone of peace.
population is feeling terrorized.
This is negative peace. Negative peace is not peace.
Yeah, yeah. They
No.
need to see. We're asking them to listen because the other half that does not wear a red T-shirt is feeling terrorized and victimized
Yes.
and ostracized. And we can't make good progress that way. We might make temporary progress, you know, but it won't be the kind of progress we all deserve.
Sometimes I really sit back and ask myself, how are we going to find ourselves out of that political quagmire?
That they built, that they put on us, that has
Yes,
been
yes,
constructed.
because it's an oligarchy of corruption, and no one person wants that link to be broken, because if that link is broken, then they feel that the
They will
empire
lose.
is affected
They
somehow.
will lose.
Because when you look at it, Ralph Gonsalves played a major role in that CARICOM Old Boys Club. And it
Network.
was
Yeah.
very wanting and interesting to see him sit at that in the inauguration ceremony.
His
And
body posture. Now, as a psychologist,
yes,
I felt the body posture of
yes,
like deflated and
yes, he is.
yeah,
And
limp.
doing some real introspections, like him losing the election really hit him like a ton of bricks. Watching that inauguration of
And it
this,
was such a bad blow. It was such a bad beating.
yes,
It's hard to forget.
because I listened to some of the videos and he was too confident that he was going to win this election.
I think even some of the language he used where he told people, if you don't vote for me, don't say hi to me when you meet me on the road. If you don't vote for me, don't come to my funeral, he said.
You know, I was looking at that and I was wondering if that is AI, or did he really say that?
It sounded like him. It did not sound like AI. It sounded like him.
You know, it's easy when they make those, they're quick to say, oh, that wasn't us, that is AI.
Mhm.
Like the picture of Melissa Skerritt sitting on the desk.
What about that? Was it AI?
Yeah, it's AI, they said.
They said it's AI.
Yes.
AI is
Anything that is
AI. What is
anything the
blame it on
dominant
the
becomes AI.
AI. Like that's the new that's the new they used to say blame it on the
The new
alcohol.
phenomena. The new phenomena is AI. So
Okay.
everything that does not sit well with the people, oh,
Mhm.
that did not happen. It's AI. Blame it on AI. Oh,
Is correct, and I think perhaps I wonder if the moderates are a dying breed, or if, as I started in the beginning, saying that a lot of us use our Christianity, we use our, well, I'm a Rasta, Rasta don't do politics. I'm a Christian, I'm not getting involved in that. I'm a woman, I'm not getting involved in politics. Politics is for bad people. Politics is not for bad people. And so because the moderates left, because the people on both extremes were so loud, the moderates perhaps who didn't like to engage in all that kind of back and forth, they unplugged. And we have this really, there's not enough of a middle ground. You need people with middle ground energy to balance these extremes. And I'm hoping, Marceline, that you and I can offer some of that.
some we have some of us have to do it.
Yeah.
And because women play a major role, and with our voice, we do play a major role with our voices. And
And we do seem to
women,
get hurt. We do seem to get very hurt by these
yes,
polarized decisions that people make as well.
yes, of course. And if we speak up, then, you know, a lot of times we speak with our emotions, but
Hmm.
does it work? Yes, because we are caring by nature.
Yeah.
We are caring by nature, and we see things differently. We see things differently.
Yeah.
So we have this, our, it's a spiritual obligation
It is.
to do
It
what we're supposed to do, because it said, speak for those without a voice.
is. That was Christ's teaching. A lot of
Yes,
people again don't really think about that. All this talk that Christ gave about looking out for the poor, loving your brother as yourself,
yes,
yeah, feeding the hungry, visiting the people who are downtrodden, not the elites. He was not, and perhaps that's why
of
he
course
got
not.
crucified, because he was not for the elites, right? Not for the people who were connected.
No.
He was for the people who were ostracized, who were not part of the system, who had lost their place in the system because the system had become so corrupt. The system had become so corrupt and so focused on those who already had, who were already connected.
And it says, you also have to speak up for the motherless and the fatherless,
For
and
sure.
those who have been wronged, and and see that they get justice. It
For
says,
sure.
see that they get justice. So
For sure.
when you're speaking up, you cannot say that this is development, so say nothing. When people are being wronged all the time,
Yeah,
the
that does
abuse
not make much
continues. It's a
sense.
vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle, and we have to understand that.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
we,
we
we
can do
cannot
better.
do that.
We can do
Yeah.
better. It's time we do better. It's time we do better.
Yeah.
It's time we
And
do
we
better.
live
We
in an
all deserve
environment,
better.
we live in an environment, in a political atmosphere, where it has become so disrespectful to women. Look at
Mhm.
what is happening, even from our own president. When we
Mhm.
see how he abused women, called them little piggy, and
Mhm.
called the women garbage and stuff like that. It's like the
Not
disrespect
acceptable.
is increasing.
Mhm.
And men are just increasingly disrespectful in the political arena, to the point of disdain. They feel disdain for women, because
I
they feel
know.
women are not talking, they're not following, they're not saying what they want them to say, or what they should say. But I don't know if they feel, when they beat down with disparaging remarks and insults, women will be discouraged and will suddenly retire into our places like the women in the 60s.
What
But
place is that?
yes, but women especially,
Especially.
those of us who have grown Teflon skins after being stripped off our own natural epidermis.
Mm-hmm.
We understand. We understand our power through
Mm-hmm.
our own ambitions. We understand our role. We understand the voice that we have, the voice of our own, having the voice, our own voice, as well as we understand the psychology of weak men who rather use insults and abuse of their power.
Then to listen. Then to listen. Then
Yes,
to
yes.
listen.
Abuse of the
So,
power
so
to silence what? The genies that already out of the bottle. So
child,
genie already come out from the bottle, If
you
any genie
know,
that bottle a cause up, instead of trying to develop listening skills
better
and
system,
decent temperament,
intelligence, emotional intelligence.
you
So
cannot
Ricky
be
says,
allowing.
one
Yeah.
thing Ricky says here is that every tub from Capleton, right, the reggae artist, that every tub shall sit on its own bottom. So people also have to learn to govern their own selves. People have to learn to listen to information from people who have other goals. Like I was listening to some information about why uh, it is possible, and we'll talk about that in subsequent sessions, why it is possible that the labor parties of the Caribbean have formed this kind of bloc. They didn't just do it because they liked each other, they were encouraged to do it. And for all we know, and if we were to guess, probably being funded and stroked to do it for other reasons, for bigger reasons on the world stage, for bigger reasons on the world's stage, except that they won't tell it to you, those of us in the comments. Yeah. They'll tell you, though, that, red, if you're not red, you're going to be dead. Things like that. You might as well be dead, and come in. We're the only, anybody who doesn't wear their red t shirt, they don't belong, they don't deserve. So they do these things, but they have other motives and other string pullers. They have other puppet masters using them as puppets to now transfer that to us, the people, in the way they engage with us for bigger reasons. Yeah.
But Margaret, the politicians, or the leaders individually would not be able to do that, had it not been for the mindset of their voters, the mindset
So
of the
the
people.
people have to go along with it. The people, if the people
It's a
don't learn,
mindset.
yeah,
Because the people get a government they deserve.
yeah, yeah.
And when you give a politician, all your loyalty, you put your life on the platter for them, you give them all the power, you don't hold them accountable, you
Mhm.
accept everything that they come with because you feel that they are your bosses, then, that is what you get.
Mhm.
And that is why it is so important for people to speak up, for people to stand up,
Absolutely.
because in so doing, you help to protect your democracy.
Absolutely.
You
And you take
cannot,
care of your fellow man.
yes,
And really,
you
I
need
think
to.
that's part of our calling on the earth.
Yes.
That's part of our job. That's part of our
Yes, and
responsibility.
people need to go back to the drawing table, go back to what they knew growing up. Too many
Mm-hmm.
people have become, too reliant on politicians. You wait for a politician to feed you. You wait for who feeds you controls you. I remember back in the day, our parents were very independent. They raised us independent. I'm at that stage, and I've always said I was raised in a home where you see me right now, and I have always been like that. I would rather, I would rather eat my spit, drink my spit than to eat food from some people.
For sure.
I would fool my belly on spittle
For
than to
sure.
eat than to eat food from certain people.
For sure.
People have to learn to live within their means and to be satisfied and to live according to their own ambitions. Do things, plant a seed. If you don't plant a seed, you don't know when, if
Right.
it's ever, because you plant nothing, you expect to reap nothing. But if you plant
Mm-hmm.
a seed, you can never tell what that seed will germinate, what that seed will bear, what fruits it will bear for you. But you have to
For
keep
sure.
trying. You cannot just give up, and you cannot just, give a politician your whole life and what have you. No, the politicians need you. It's time for the citizens to stop letting the politicians think that is they need them. No, they need you. Why you think they keep calling and they keep begging you? I've heard this six-star general. He begged for the people's vote. Please, please help me to help you. The man was literally at breaking point.
You know
But
what my mother would say? My mother would say he cried blood. He cried
yes,
blood.
he cried blood. He was at literally crying
Mhm.
blood. Help me, come back, come back.
Come home.
There's a
Lift
reason
me
why.
up.
Come
Lift me
home.
up. Yeah.
Lift me up. Because he realized at that point in time, he is no longer trampling on them. He wants them to lift, even if he was trampling on them, he wants them to,
He
stand
needed
up,
them to lift him up.
dust off the rubble of your, dust your
Yeah.
back, and stand up and lift me up.
He needed
But
them
the
to lift
people
him
said
up.
no. The people said no. And this is how a people understand their power, because the people, the people, is there's
The
a saying
people
which
in
is
power,
the people, we
we the people are greater than the people in
We,
power.
the
That's
people,
the
are greater than
mentality.
the people in power.
Mhm.
So we have to understand our power, and we
Yeah.
have to educate ourselves a little more. We,
Yeah.
in the civics, we have to know what our politicians need to do and what they can do and what they cannot do. It is not about them. We have to understand that they are serving us. It's not
For
the other
sure.
way around, that
For
we
sure.
are serving them. So when
For
they
sure.
see them, they have turned themselves criminals and plunderers and corrupt men in offices, and we still, running after them. Honorable this and honorable that. The office is honorable, but there's a lot of ignoble men in those offices.
Mhm. Mhm. And we have to do better. It's time
And
for
we
us to clean
have, of
that up.
course, we have to do
Yeah.
better. We
We the
cannot just
people.
give them the carte blanche all the time.
We the people have to clean it up.
We have
Because
to clean
again,
it up.
as you say, it is us who lift them up. And they always remind us of that. During the 4 years or 2.5 years, they act as if they're the ones running things. But then they remember that it is us who are really running things when it's time to stand up and ask us and beg us literally to lift them up.
Beg us for the vote.
Mhm, mhm.
Beg us because they feel that they need the vote.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day, my father's day, when Eugenia Charles came to the Concord community to have a meeting. He let her understand that you are the servant of the people. You
Mhm.
were elected by votes and ballots, and that's why I keep I keep bringing up my dad and remembering this noble man, this strong
Mhm.
man, this powerful man, this man full of wisdom,
Mhm.
because he knew his rights as a
The citizen.
he knew his rights as a citizen.
Mhm.
He was one of the men who was well read. He was one of the men who stood up in the court and told the court, this is not your court, this is the
Mhm.
people's court.
Mhm.
You were sent here to preside over matters, but this is not your court. It's the people's court.
So,
And
so Marcelline, so I hope that as we continue these conversations,
yes,
that we will continue. And I hope you all, I'm inviting everybody to share the live, okay? So that at least one more person knows that we're doing this. We need to educate ourselves and each other so that we can make more thoughtful decisions as we create the future that we deserve. As we create the future that we deserve. Can you? I need you to give a little bit of a takeaway, a few takeaway thoughts tonight as we start wrapping up. What is your takeaway from tonight? What do you hope we accomplish with these conversations?
I hope we can come together and see through the eyes of justice. We can restructure, we can look back, look into our patriotism, into our soul, and say, are we comfortable? Or have we sufficiently tried? Or is there anything else we can do? Is there work to be done? Are we satisfied with where we are as a people? Are we failing the young people? We have to ask ourselves some serious questions. Are we happy with the political parties we have in Dominica? Are we happy with their representation? And that is not just the government.
Mm-hmm.
We have to look at those in opposition as well.
Mm-hmm.
Those who are vying for the offices. We have to look at them as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to come together as a people and educate our own minds, be a little more matured.
Mm-hmm.
We need to read more. We need to listen. We need to look at what is happening on the outer world, because this internet, or this social media, has brought the world like a little community.
Right.
So there's a lot to learn there. We can look at the ways that other governments function. We can look at how they treat the people. That is the countries that are doing well. How well do they treat the people? Have they isolated the people, pushed them in a corner, and created a quasi dictatorship? Are they feeding from the hands of the citizens, feeding from the hands of their government? And we look at those things, and we need to make some adjustments. We can go back to doing things that to be more self-sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things we can do to be self-sufficient. We do
sure.
not have to buy. We do not have to buy everything in the store,
supermarket.
in the supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
We have backyard gardening. Go back to our backyard gardening.
Go back to fishing.
Go back to fishing, as you said. Go back to planting our own food. We are eating too much processed foods. Go back to trying, the herbs, the bush medicine. Go back to doing a lot of things. Go back to caring,
walking more.
Go back to talking to each other. We need that as a community. This is how we grow. Go back to being each other's keeper. That is how we grow as a people. And go back to being happy, to fool ourselves with that cheerful.
Go back to living to 124.
Yes, go back to
being
able to
living
smile.
to 124.
Go back to being able to smile. Go back to knowing what's going on with your neighbor's children. And be that one community where we help to raise each other's children as before. Go back to loving each other as before. And if we do that as a people, we will be able to have much more positive discussions. And when we bring our discussions together, based on what we arrive, the positivity in those discussions, we can see things on a more positive outlook. Because education does not exist in one person's head. If I talk to you, we have a meeting and what have you, you may have an idea. There's something that you said there tonight that perked my interest. There's something I said there tonight that would perk someone's interest. And that is how we learn. That is how we grow.
And it does not have to come from somebody who belongs to the same party that I belong to. That's the lowest common denominator for when it comes to where we get our ideas. It makes very little sense. It makes very little sense to isolate half of your community and say, I don't want to even listen to their thoughts.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Because this is how we grow. This is how we grow as a people. We just don't know everything. We cannot be so hateful towards each other, because at the end of the day, we are all natural citizens. We are just citizens. But the government, we are just citizens. The government is my government, is your government. Even if I did not vote for them, even if I don't endorse their BS, it is still my government.
100%.
And it is my right to hold them accountable.
100%.
So when I'm speaking up, about the ills and the wrong things I see, is not that I hate my government. 100%. I don't hate my government. And stop that nonsense about hate country. That kind of thing where when you speak about ills, we talk about this country. No, the wrong thing is not about your country. It's not about your country. You hate the governance of the country. You don't like the government, but it has nothing to do with the country. The country The country is its country. The country did not ask to be governed by the buffoons that destroy her. So we have to be broader in our thinking. And if we are broader in our thinking, then we will get better. We will get better. We'll be able to hold each other and by extension, our governments accountable. So when we go to the table, we say, well, okay, we are asking for electoral reform. We are not asking, reform is not for one set. It is for all Dominicans. It's for the entire country. So we should not feel that because we support the red party, then it's for reform is for the blue party. It's for the country.
For the
It's
country.
for the country. It's time we get some sense in our heads, and it's time we look at things on a broader, with rational. Be practical about things. Look at things on a broader picture. Look at some of us live in big countries, but what we do not accept in the big country, can't be done in the big countries. We accept it down there because we feel that we can impose our will down there. We feel that we can impose our hegemony down there, but we would not accept it up here, but we can impose it down there. It is time we become each other's keeper. It is time we put country first, put our patriotism first.
Again, because we used to do that very well.
Yes. Let us feel proud about our country. I feel proud about my country, even if I am not proud about the governance of the country. But I feel proud. I feel proud as a Dominican. I love my country as a Dominican.
Yeah.
I can't say that a lot of people, when you speak up, they think you hate the prime minister. No, I don't hate the prime minister. I don't like his governance.
Absolutely. Those are separate things.
Yes, as a person, I have no hate for the man, but I don't like his governance.
Absolutely.
And that is what I don't like, the evil he imposed on the country and its people. But as to hate, I have no place in my heart for me to hate.
Absolutely.
For me to hate a man. No. We just do right by the people. And going forward, I hope we can have broader discussions. Let us just look at it, or put it on the table, and let us see what it makes sense. It does not mean because that person is red or that person is blue, then I can't draw out from that person. I can't apply something or learn something from that person. Take, for example, the Expo. The Expo does not see color. It encompasses all crafters, be it red. It's not a color thing. Our culture sees no color because we are melting pots. We are melting pot of one people. So we bring our ambitions, our culture, our love, our goodness spirit. Everything is in that melting pot.
For sure.
So let us go back to that. Let us go back to the way our parents lived when they would hold their governments accountable. These people, our parents, and they were less educated book-wise, but they were smarter than us. They had more intelligence.
Very wise.
They were more noble. They were not more noble. They were much serious, much
conscientious.
More serious.
They saw right and they said, okay, this is right. They saw wrong and they said, this is wrong, even though it was their child or somebody they loved. Yes.
And they had a pride that nobody could break.
Yes.
They would not beg. They would not beg. These people knew what it was to work hard and to set good examples for their children and raise their children to be strong and proud individuals.
And so I'm very grateful. Thank you for that. And so I'm very grateful, really, that there are enough of us left with that coding, with that information in our minds, in our blood, in our food, in the way we dress, in the way we talk, in what we know, in our common sense, the sense that is common to all of us. Yeah, there are enough of us with common sense to be able to dissect these things and call a spade a spade. If this is good, this is good. If this is not good, fix it. Yeah. So y'all, thank you all for joining us tonight. It is almost 8 o'clock. Marcelline, I'm very grateful that you said yes. I'm looking forward to more Pretty Girls Talk Politics with you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It was very stirring conversation, very engaging. I appreciate all the comments. I know that some of us are stuck again in those polarized places, like here, almost like never the two shall meet. But the two can always meet. If we keep talking, the two can always meet. We do have to, I think, dig a little deeper into those foundational principles that we were raised on, like looking out for your brother and your sister, taking care of each other, always one family, respect. It didn't come for you alone. Share, brothers, share. Good man, right? What you don't want for yourself, you cannot want it for the other person. These values, these very Dominican values that created such a beautiful and idyllic space for people from our generation to grow up in. And I think many of us were locked in there and we were like, we will create that energy and frequency again in the country, come hell or high water. We are not letting it go. Even though right now in front of us, what we see is something very chaotic and very distant from what we were raised in and what we know we can create together. So, this is why we will continue to have these conversations. I'm very happy again, all of you who shared your thoughts and feelings with us. Happy Sunday. Nous que parler l'autre fois. We'll talk another time. Peace.
Merci. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. God bless.
That's right.
See you another time.